Hi, I'm Doug Black. I'm editor-in-chief at Inside HPC. And today we're at Virtual SC20 with Matt Jacobs. He is Chief Strategy Officer at Penguin Computing. Matt, welcome.
Hi, Doug. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Okay, great. So catch us up a little bit about Penguin and some of the forward-looking trends that you're seeing in the HPC market.
Sure, be happy to do that. It's been a pretty busy year, frankly, leading up to the conference. A lot of technological trends that are sort of coming to fruition that have been coming together over the past handful of years. But let's talk about some of that. The first one that we're seeing, major trend, is abstraction of the hardware layer. We're seeing users get a little bit deeper into the application space. We're seeing our users, caring a little bit less about the hardware that they're running on, and so. As a market, as a supply to those users, we're having to get a little bit closer to that application space and build solutions that help customers adopt these technologies a little more quickly and a little more effectively. So big trend there. Another one that we're seeing driving a lot of decisions right now is around platform complexity. And we're seeing a couple of drivers here. The first of those is on the hardware side, right? I think we're seeing the waning of Moore's Law. As that's happening, we're starting to see specialization in the market. That's sort of been the industry answer. And so a lot of specialization on the compute side, on the platform, and then we're seeing also some interesting new technologies in persistent memory and storage that we're also tracking very closely. They can be incredibly beneficial for HPC applications when deployed properly. The other side of platform complexity is coming about through software-defined architectures. And these software-defined architectures, largely created in the hyperscaler space, and getting those into the HPC community and into HPC architectures where they can be leveraged properly is not always straightforward. It's different, finding the right software, applying it to the right hardware, tuning that properly, and then architecting it into an end-to-end HPC solution can be a real challenge. The other trend that we're seeing a significant movement on in our space is sort of this crossroads between HPC and AI. Convergence is probably a big word here, but I think certainly cohabitation might be the best way to describe what we're witnessing out in the market. And here we're seeing organizations need or benefit from adopting their HPC workflows a bit to include AI. And the AI component of this is used to narrow the scope of the questions that we ask of our HPC environments, but also to help with the parametric optimization as we go through calculations in an iterative sort of fashion. So we're seeing a lot more work in that space. But another big trend that we're seeing is Cloud 2.0, and this one's interesting. We're sort of exiting the hype phase of cloud. We're exiting the cloud first approach, and that's giving way to more a cloud appropriate approach. And so here we're seeing a more inclusive discussion of on-premises capabilities plus cloud capabilities. And we're seeing users sort of target those in different ways based on the workloads themselves. And so there's an educated consumer who understands the hidden costs, who understands that not all CSPs are created equally, and they're going to figure out exactly which of those they need to put into their full spectrum of compute. And so the dichotomy that we've seen over the years of, is it going to be on cloud or is it going to be on premises, is sort of giving way to more of a continuum. And so we're starting to see our customers see their compute as a continuum. But it takes a specific set of capabilities and technologies to be able to address compute in that fashion. And so we're pushing hard in that area as well. And then last, which is another really big trend, is it's sort of being driven by the three we mentioned before. But we're starting to see our customers look for more flexible usage models. And what I mean by that is, if we're viewing our compute as a continuum, and if we're seeing the need to repatriate some of that equipment to on-premises for our high utilization workloads and maybe leverage cloud for others, can we have that on-premises capability as an operational model, right? Versus maybe necessarily as a traditional transaction. And so we're building out programs to help on that front as well. Interesting times, a lot of change, and I think we're on the forefront of what will be an interesting handful of supercomputings together. So.
I like that cohabitation as opposed to convergence. And then and hybrid and all this flexibility. So it must be a constant challenge for a company like yours, like Penguin. But so let's get into the response you're putting together to these trends. How is Penguin helping your customers deal with these issues?
Well, what we've done at a really high level is listen to our customer base. We've been putting together amazingly innovative solutions for a handful of years focused on these trends. And so what we're doing is we're canonizing these trends into a series of reference architectures. And we're launching all that this week at Supercomputing, and we're super excited about it. So these reference architectures are going to live under our overall solutions organization. And the reference architectures are divided up into four primary practices. And these practices are built around horizontal technological consistencies. And so we'll see a practice for HPC, where we've obviously been operating for a very long time. Another practice in AI and analytics, which is, as I mentioned, becoming increasingly important in its own, but also really important in the HPC space. And then we have another practice, which is our cloud technologies practice, meant to help our customers really take a cloud native approach to their HPC workloads and really leverage that compute continuum that we discussed just a moment ago. And then lastly, we have our data technologies practice. And here, what we're doing is helping our customers in an HPC fashion adopt modern data tiering architectures all the way up to and including persistent memory inside the servers inside the HPC environment, out to a flash layer, out to a deeper storage capacity layer, and then lastly, a set of tools to help mitigate the problems around data gravity, which we're all experiencing in HPC and AI right now. In addition to all of those, we're also doing a soft launch around our different usage models. And so our on-premises as a service model is becoming increasingly popular with our customer base. And all we're doing here is just saying, look, let us build these reference architectures for you. These reference architectures are meant to be combinable, so we can put them together in different ways for an overarching architecture. And then, the customers are smart enough to figure out at that point, okay, how would I like to consume it? And lots of different factors go into that, really. What sort of specialization do I need on premises to operate these environments? What kind of even infrastructure? How much power do I need? Those sorts of things. So lots of drivers in play there, but effectively enabling our customers to engage their compute as a continuum and have a more inclusive approach to the right tool for the right job.
Okay, so picking up on cloud, how does Penguin see changes in the cloud impacting the HPC landscape, in the coming years?
Yeah. I think we've touched a little bit on that, but I do think customers, as we stated before, they're really looking at more of an inclusive approach. Repatriation is certainly on a lot of people's lips. But let's face it, like if you have had, if a customer has had a cloud first approach to their infrastructure over the last 3 to 5 years, um, it's been a big technological development cycle. And so that repatriation is not always an obvious thing, and it's not always easy. So you need additional expertise and skill sets to leverage some of these emerging and software defined technologies that we've been talking about. So what we see is certainly a much more inclusive approach. We see our customers picking the right CSPs for the right workloads themselves. But we also find ourselves in a unique position to offer a multi-cloud platform that enables us to tie all those together for our customers. And so today we have a multi-cloud platform that allows our customers to aggregate all of those compute resources from cloud to on-premises. It allows them to engage them from a single point. It allows them to build workflows that are static so that it can help the capabilities of everyone in the organization engage those resources more efficiently, or dynamic, right? That can be based on ephemeral attributes, maybe proximity of compute to storage or compute to user, wait times, cost, things of those nature. And then have data gravity mitigation tools that allow them to care a little bit less about where that data sits, and to have to move it around a lot less, which obviously improves the overall efficiency of their technical computing resources and their users. There's a lot that goes into this, but the right strategy and the right cloud native technologies, both at home that prepare users to expand out into the cloud, and then also in the cloud, are certainly bringing about a new era of efficiency and a new era of cohabitation, if you will, between cloud and on-premises resources. So lots of work there, but we're excited about it, and our customers are really benefiting today.
Okay, good stuff. So, in the face of rising costs of the cloud, of data silos, the impact to workflow latencies, does Penguin have customers considering repatriating their HPC or AI infrastructures?
We do. We do. And I think it's more, the repatriation is more of a snapshot of a continuum. I think what it's really boiling down to is really getting that right set of tools and the right economic structure. Let's face it, I think early adoption in the cloud looked a lot more like it was a bit of a hype, and then later it became hype plus, wow, this is going to save us a lot of money. And then I think the reality of it set in, and there's not a more efficient use of money than on premises, right? And I say that as a company who provides a meaningful cloud resource to its HPC customers. But that said, the on-premises bit, if it's not totally utilized at 80 plus percent, 70 plus percent capacity, you do want to have, for other reasons, other resources. You may need a specific capability that a cloud service provides, right? Or you may need additional capacity. And so putting all that together in a singular continuum is really what our customers are sort of facing now. So yes, they're repatriating, but it's not a massive migration back to on premises. It's really more of an educated. How do I have the most cost effective infrastructure capable, and then also build in the additional capabilities I need from a technical standpoint, and give my users, most importantly, the resources they need to get their work done. So there's a lot of change there. I think we'll have to get together in a year and see where this whole repatriation thing goes. But I think it's going to settle into a state of entropy where we start to see a more educated approach to how customers satisfy their workload requirements.
Yep, a lot of options. All right, Matt. Well, thanks so much for your time. Great to be with you today, and best of luck to you and Penguin at the conference this week.
It's wonderful to see you again. Hopefully we get to shake hands next year in person.
That would be great.
All right.